So, just a quick little video. So, not really done this yet in all the time I've been doing it. We all kind of start somewhere, don't we? So it's going to be like little starter fragrances for people just starting out. And I'll kind of go through the price ranges and that. I'm not going to go on a rant, I promise. But you know me. These are starter fragrances for anyone. Because something says l'homme or femme in the name, trust me, as you get into this more and you understand fragrances better, it's just marketing. It means nothing. And if anybody grows boobs while spraying a La Femme Parfums or some meat and veg, or spraying a L'homme perfume, you can sue me, okay? I'll happily take that responsibility. It's just a smell, and smells might not suit you, but it's nothing to do with your gender. What does a man or a woman smell like? It's a bit nonsense. Anyway, enough of that. So I'll get started and I'll need to be quick. So first on the list, the more affordable ones, is probably one of the most famous ones we all know of. And it's not necessarily a clone. That's lovely, isn't it? But it's Ariana Grande's Cloud, which is like this fluffy kind of whipped cream, kind of a little bit marshmallowy. Has similarities to Baccarat Rouge 540, but it's much more wearable. It's much easier, it's much lighter, it's much fresher. It's just a very nice, enjoyable kind of fragrance. What more is there to say about it? You've probably heard quite a lot about it. It is one that's very easily accessible to anyone. It just smells sweet and nice, and just an easier version of obviously the very expensive BR540. So that's Cloud from Ariana Grande. Next on the list is Guerlain's Ideal, the EDT. Now this one is the first one of the lot. It's also the one I think so far that I've tried that I love the most. You'll have heard of the cologne, which is the raved about, hyped one. I've never had any idea why. There's this kind of lemony loveliness to it. Actually, the EDT has a lemony oranginess to it. This citrus is a bit richer, and it lasts throughout the fragrance. And the fragrance has got a lot more woodiness to it, a lot more about it, which kind of lasts a bit longer through. I think there's vetiver, don't quote me, but I think there is a little hint of that kind of feel about it. And it's very Guerlain. It's a good one to introduce you to exactly what we all mean by Guerlainade. It's kind of got this, you'd have to smell it, this specific citrus thing that you'd know it's a Guerlain. And it has this, they all have these kind of almondy, sometimes heliotropy touch to them all. And the EDT, the original, is just a lovely example of it. It's a very nice fragrance. So that is Guerlain's L'homme Ideal, the EDT. Now the next one is one you're bound to have heard of and you're bound to have smelt. And it's a little bit overpriced considering how old it is, but it is a legend. Has changed a lot, but is the original Alien. Now it's a good introduction to what florals can be. They don't have to be these sweet smelling, lovely, airy fairy, floaty about fragrances. And I think Alien is just a masterpiece of that, from Mugler. It's this kind of dark jasmine. That's dark is the word you'd use the most for it. And white musks. It's got a lot more to it, but they're kind of the main things. And what that kind of does is it creates this absolutely intoxicating fragrance. I mean, love it or hate it. It's more to do, I think, if you can wear it yourself. I don't think you could hate the smell of Alien. And it's very distinctive nowadays. Like I say, mainly about the dark jasmine and the musks. And if you haven't smelled it, try and give it a smell. There are 453 billion flankers of it, but I'd say the original is by far the best. So that's Alien from Mugler. And the next kind of category is kind of this affordable niche. And we all know kind of these words get thrown about a bit. But the way I look at it is the designer ones are the ones owned by the big massive kind of designer companies that make other things. Niche, it's not, you call anything niche, but I call it the more smaller companies, let's say. Let's call it small niche. And the more affordable ones I'm going to start off with Purple Gourmand from a company called Pocketscents, and this is a very affordable one. It's basically like pear, vanilla, and it makes this kind of lovely, sticky, sweet, not overly sweet, not overly sticky, kind of very gourmand, if you like, pear fragrance. And again, it's not too sweet. Don't be scared by the fruits and whatnot. The vanilla kind of keeps it dark and rich. Some musks, I would suspect there's quite a bit of ambroxan in it, but a nice quality ambroxan, which kind of pushes it out, and it's just a great fragrance. So that's Purple Gourmand from Pocketscents. The next ones are woody and fruity, separate fragrances from a company called Olfactive. Again, very affordable niche. And the reason I've picked two is because the two different sides. The woody one is this kind of semi boozy, it's got patchouli in it, it's got beautiful woods, musks, and it's just a kind of more round, all winter kind of versatile fragrance. Very classy, very well made, suit anyone, I think. So if you're looking to kind of get into your kind of woody, kind of patchouli, classy commerce fragrances, it's a good starter. And the fruity is kind of strawberry, peach, lovely sweet fruits, raspberry. I'm not sure there's peach in it actually, but I think there might be. It's like this sweet fruity one, again, nice musks. It's a very nice, beautiful fragrance. So that's woody and fruity from Olfactive. So finally in this little category is from Terence Hughes. This is one of his more affordable ones, and one of his easiest to approach. Now with Terence Hughes you'll kind of discover this is the first batch I'm talking about. They change names and they change formulations and they change fragrances completely. So I'm talking about the original, and it's slut. So I'm going to say that. But ignore the cheeky names. It's basically, it's almost classic. It's basically using all the parts of an orange tree. It's got the petitgrain, it's got the Neuee orange blossom, orange, and the woods, and it's just this exceptionally lovely kind of classic style citrus, but with more to it. And Aaron uses quite good musks, just give it a bit of an edge. And I think I have a bit of jasmine in it as well, giving it a bit more of an edge. But really it kind of opens a very beautiful, fresh, kind of classic, like an Acqua di Parma kind of thing. And it's just a very good introduction into that house. Don't know what the latest one smells like I say. But yeah, that's Terence Hughes' fragrance S. All kind of luxury niche. We're pushing 100, although some of these are quite a bit cheaper, but most kind of established, that kind of price range, but easy to wear, easy introduction to these houses, and ones that I don't think are overpriced. Like I wouldn't start your collection with Baccarat Rouge or a Creed, in my personal opinion, or even a Parfums de Marly, which are quite easy to wear, but, and don't get me wrong, they're nice, but for 200 quid for a fragrance that smells like, once you start to get used to them designer ones, just get a designer one. But anyway, the first one in the list is from the Swedish house of Swedoft, and it's called Estrogens. Now again, this is a good introduction into kind of niche wood. It is not the same at all as Oud Wood from Tom Ford, which is 5 million times the price of this, and obviously not all that original now. But this is kind of, the similarity is obviously the Oud and the rosewood. Now rosewood is a very kind of clean, sweet, dark wood. To me, I love it. I love rosewood. and that's what this fragrance is kind of based around. It's kind of beautiful woods, a little bit of greenness in there, and musks again. It's just a very, very beautiful fragrance. And I think for a 30ml, I could be wrong, used to be under £100, so it's a good starter, kind of more luxury and niche. Next, a little bit more in price, but it's Maison Violet, and I'd say Neuee Bleue is what I picked for that. It's the kind of most approachable one, which is this kind of fresh irisy scent. It's got that, you'll start to get used to the iris and stuff. It's got that kind of iris touch to it, a bit more like Prada than Dior. You'll kind of get what I understand. It's more of a clean iris, a fresh iris, and it's got this. It does smell silver almost. It's just so beautiful. There's sweetness in there. There's a touch of citrus and that kind of thing, and obviously some nice smooth woods. It's just a very beautiful, very classy, almost you could say nearly almost a sporty iris. And I think it's a good introduction to this old house, this brilliant, beautiful old house. And that's Neuee Bleue from Maison. Next is probably the most expensive on the list, but it's a good starter, and it's very famous orange blossom fragrance. And I think again, the reason I'm picking these is because most people should like them, and everyone can wear them, and it is quite expensive. But that's Kilian's Love. Love Don't Be Shy. Now, Kilian are clever with this. You could just buy yourself a refill and top up a little atomizer, and that's not that expensive. Full price is about 180, which is expensive. Travel's about 120, and again, very worth it, I think. But basically what this fragrance is a kind of, it's orange blossom and marshmallow. So vanilla, musks. It's very different to Cloud that I mentioned earlier. It's got this much darker, stickier, sweeter. People say it smells like an orange blossom dessert, and that kind of marshmallowiness to it. It's just an exceptional fragrance, and it is one that I think most people would recognise now, and it's very enjoyable. So that's Love Don't Be Shy from Kilian. Finally, in this little section, and I've tried to, I mean obviously Kilian's very famous, I've tried to pick more kind of small houses for you, and that's Lacoste Parfums, and I'd say Piano Santal is the one I'm going to pick, which is just a perfect example of a creamy sandalwood. It's got a bit of spices to it, it's a little bit musky, it's very addictive, it's warm but very creamy. It's kind of, I'd say, better for the colder weather, but a lot of people like it in the warmer weather. It's so creamy it can go quite milky, and it's a very good example of what sandalwood can do. It's not an overly complicated fragrance. Again, similar price to Maison Violet, about 130, and it's a good one to kind of start them two houses, especially to get into kind of what French perfumery at its best is all about. So that's Piano Santal from Lacoste Parfums. So it's just a quick one. This is not what I'm suggesting you should go out and buy, but if I was starting out again, these were ones I'd pick to kind of start my journey. Doesn't mean they're all my favourites or I all think they're the best, but probably the best investments I've kind of made and smelt. So what about yourself? What would you recommend as good starter fragrances at the kind of different price points? And I'm going to make this into a tag video, just so you get a good wide range of what other people think. So I'm going to tag Scott Centurion, I'm going to tag Lizzie Rosen Jones, I'm going to tag Sam Smells, Sam, Andreas Service Fragrances, and Karine Olfactive Stories. Okay, thanks folks, and again, hopefully if they get a chance to do it, you'll get to see a kind of other side of a starter list. Thanks folks, bye.